About 3 months ago, I made a video about the Misty 2 robot. And in that video, I basically had just received Misty I had it for a couple days, and I just took it out of the box and I just kind of jumped in and started playing with it. And then I tried writing some skills, not really reading the documents too thoroughly, but just kind of hacking around. So the next logical thing to do with Misty was to try to just do a basic roaming skill. And I spent a little bit more time reading the documents. It actually took me, I got busy at work and stuff, so it took me longer than I had planned. And what I'm talking about is usually, is you just want to be able to have it roam around the room on the floor, and then if it runs into an obstacle, you want it to start backing out or turn or something like that. Okay, so let's check out Misty 2 and see what happened, and I'll tell you some tips at the end and some of the things that still aren't finished. Okay, so I think overall she did pretty well. There's obviously things I can tweak in terms of when it backs out, the turning radius and things like that. Also, there are a couple little kind of corner cases where she'll get stuck backing out, but then if there's not enough room for her to safely go forward. So some of those I think, some of those are reasonable, like you're gonna have to just pick her up. Now I'll talk a little bit about the problems I had initially. So the problems I had initially were that I kind of jumped in again without reading enough of the examples and stuff, and so at first I had trouble just even with driving, and I think it was just that I didn't understand the built-in hazard system, which is going to do its own detection with the time of flight sensor and with the bump sensors. So there was times where I thought maybe the motors weren't working correctly or something like that, but it was just that I hadn't read about the hazard system yet. Once I read about that, then I simplified my code, and I had basically a callback for the bump sensors, and then I kind of just register also a notification for the hazard system. Just take baby steps and back up and simplify your code. And what helped me is putting Misty back on the stand, on her stand, and then kind of testing things out, like the bump sensor code. And the other thing I recommend is going back to the examples. If you're getting frustrated, your code's not working, maybe you just have a typo, or maybe you just did something just slightly out of order, and so it's not working, but go back to the example. That'll give you confidence that the robot is okay. You know, put her on the block, do that, then go back to your code. If you have to save some of your code that wasn't working, and simplify your code, and then go back and add more code. And so any type of like event-based coding is going to be a little bit more challenging than just regular straight like linear kind of algorithms and stuff. The next thing I'm going to do is probably save this code as a different skill, just like a driving skill, and then I want to test out Misty in terms of just kind of being stationary on this and going to some of the higher level functions, like with these cameras up here. Maybe try the face recognition, or and just test her, push her to see, even just playing audio files and moving without worrying about having to drive and avoid obstacles and stuff. And you saw in the video the gym where I train. I do jiu-jitsu there and judo, and so there's other examples there that I might think of stuff like. I think it would be pretty easy to have Misty give a tour of the gym and explain all the rooms. There's a room with heavy bags for cardio kickboxing, then there's a boxing ring, there's a cage for MMA fighters, there's the judo and jiu-jitsu room. And so it wouldn't be hard to have Misty just drive around the whole gym and give somebody a tour. But I want to play with Misty just stationary, see what else I can think of. And then I'll keep improving the kind of roaming algorithm in the background. And then eventually I'll look at other people's code and see if there's like a much better one. Making progress. Of course I have a day job, so it's a little bit slower than I wanted, but anyway, everything's going well.